I'm Ryan Cameron, Atlanta native, host of the Ryan Cameron Morning Show with Wanda Smith on the People Station V103. I think Father's Day for me is probably one of those days that is kind of like it's unsung, if there's a way to describe it, because you compare it to Mother's Day, where there's always a specific thing that you have to accomplish. On Mother's Day, you got to go by. You better have a card. You better have some flowers. There's some kind of dinner plans. It's like you have to have a certain pattern, or you're either in the doghouse for the rest of the year. Father's Day, and I always talk about this, is kind of like, hey, Ma, is Dad there? Yeah, he's here. Put him on the phone. Hey, Dad. Hey, happy Father's Day. Thank you very much. Okay, let me talk to Mom. And it's kind of like done. And I think that's kind of the disparity between the two, which is not necessarily a good thing. My relationship with my father was difficult. My father was the youngest of three and had a lot of problems that he had with some issues that he had to deal with all of my adult life. And whenever I would do things as far as accomplishments, it was almost like an albatross. You know, I would win something or get an award, and then I would come across somebody in my old neighborhood, and they was like, hey man, I saw your dad the other day, I gave your dad $1. Or I saw your dad the other day laying down in the street. And I think his ability to combat his own personal demons were like my demons as well, because I used him as a sort of like a catalyst for the kind of father I did not want to be, because all the things that he wanted, he wasn't able to accomplish. So he kind of lost his way into alcohol, and I had to watch that as a child and as an adult. And it was something that I learned, that when a person is going through something like that, you can yell and scream, but if it's their own personal battle, they have to decide for themselves that they want to, give it up or do better. And I think once he decided to do that and he became clean and sober, it was probably a little too late, because I think, maybe 6 months or to a year after he became like totally sober, he passed away. My mom's dad was a successful businessman. He's the guy that taught me about going outdoors, and we would go camping and water skiing and in a mobile home and staying overnight. And this is on Bankhead, where nobody did that. And then you go around to the other end and you have my other grandfather, who went to work every day, who had his own issues, but at the same time, they were both men. They always taught me that no matter what, that once a man takes a family, that you have to take care of that family no matter what. It's a Southern thing that, if I lost it all today, if I had to dig a ditch, I wouldn't be too prideful to dig a ditch, as long as I got my family taken care of and I was able to pay the bills. And I think they taught me that. That it doesn't matter what you're going through in your life, that if you have a responsibility, especially when you have children involved, you have to do whatever you need to do to take care of those people. My mother said this to me yesterday, because it was something that I forgot which one of my kids did something. And she says, remember what your granddaddy said, you can't slick a slicker, or you can't trick a tricker. I remember one time my grandfather wanted me to cut the grass. And he said, when I get home, I want this grass to be cut. And I was like, yeah. So I played all day. I mean, I did whatever I wanted to do, kickball, baseball, football, whatever. And then I tried that. When he got home, I acted like the lawnmower wouldn't start. And so, I'm trying to pull it, and and it won't start. So she said, I thought I told you to cut that grass. And I was like, well, the lawnmower won't start. That was my rationale as a young kid. So he unscrews the thing, it's got a full gas, and he sticks his finger down into the gas tank. And then he rubs it on the spark plug, and he pulls it, and it fires up. I mean, immediately, and it starts. And I'm looking at it, and he just, pow! And he punches me in the chest. And it was such a shock to me. And he said to me, do what you need to do so you can do what you want to do. Meaning he knew that I did everything that I wanted to, football, baseball, and I tell this to my son today, do what you need to do so you can do what you want to do. And that was the biggest lesson that I learned. Like, everybody wants to play. Nobody wants to work. But if you get the work done, then you can play. That was a life lesson. if it's one word I could use to describe my grandfathers, it was just, they were just very determined in the fact that they just took an approach to family that, to me, is something that is lost today. Where, you know, sometimes if you don't like something, you can just bail, and they never were like that. And I think, to me, that's the main thing that I take from it, is like, you know, no matter what, you know, relationships change and dynamics change, but you have to be determined to have a relationship succeed, especially with your children, because if they don't have the confidence in you, then they're going to have some of the pitfalls that are avoidable. Because me, as an only child with no father there every day, I made mistakes that I didn't have to if I would have had somebody in my life. I think a word that makes a good father is that you accept acceptance, that you've made this living, breathing being, and that you're not a baby daddy. You're not, you know, you're actually a father, and that you realize the responsibility that comes with that. Because people always say, as soon as you find it, it's going to change your life, man. And then you see something that you know you've helped to create, and you have a responsibility for it. And I think that's the biggest difference, is that you have to know that you had something to do with this. You just can't leave it out there. This is not like, you know, a pack of animals or something where, you know the cub is born and it has to fend for itself. You know, that's not how life is. You have a responsibility to make this human being as best as you can to be into an adult.